My boyfriend won't stop physically correcting my behavior. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 9 months, and I'm just now realizing that he's been physically correcting my behavior this entire time, like I'm some kind of pet that needs constant training. It started small with things I didn't even register as problematic. I bite my nails when I'm stressed, and my boyfriend would slap my hands away from my mouth and tell me it was disgusting. At first, I thought he was trying to help me break a bad habit. When I'd reach for snacks while we watched TV, my boyfriend would physically block my hand or push the bag away, saying I needed to pace myself better. He made comments about how I ate too fast and needed to learn self-control. I thought maybe he was concerned about my health or trying to help me be more mindful, but the popcorn incident made me realize this wasn't about concern. It was about control. We were watching a show I'd been excited about, and I was eating popcorn at my normal pace when my boyfriend suddenly smacked my hand hard enough that kernels went flying everywhere. He said I was eating like an animal and that the crunching was ruining his viewing experience. I was so shocked I just sat there staring at the scattered popcorn on my living room floor. This was my apartment, my food, my birthday weekend, and my boyfriend had just physically punished me for eating snacks the way I always eat them. When I told him that hitting my hand was unacceptable, he said he wasn't hitting me. He was correcting annoying behavior that I apparently couldn't control myself. He said someone needed to teach me proper manners. I pointed out that I'd been eating this way my entire life and no one else had ever had a problem with it. He said that just proved how much I needed someone to finally be honest with me about my bad habits. The conversation made me start thinking about all the other times my boyfriend had physically intervened to stop me from doing things. Pulling my vape out of my hand because he doesn't like smoking. Grabbing my phone when he thought I was scrolling too much. Pushing my laptop closed when he decided I'd been working long enough. I'd normalized all of it because my boyfriend always framed it as caring about my well-being or helping me be better. But hitting someone's hand away from food they're eating isn't caring, it's controlling. I talked to my roommate Nina about what happened and she looked horrified. She said my boyfriend physically correcting my behavior was abusive and that I should be seriously concerned about someone who thinks hitting is an appropriate way to communicate preferences. Nina pointed out that my boyfriend could just use his words to tell me when something bothered him instead of physically stopping me from doing things in my own home. She said the fact that he chose physical intervention showed this was about power, not concern. When I confronted my boyfriend about his pattern of physically correcting me, he got defensive and said I was overreacting to normal couple dynamics. He claimed that people who love each other help each other improve, and that physical reminders were more effective than just talking. I told my boyfriend that physically stopping me from eating or grabbing things out of my hands wasn't help, it was control, and that I needed him to stop touching me in corrective ways immediately. He said I was being oversensitive and that he was just trying to help me break bad habits that other people were probably too polite to mention. He made it sound like he was doing me a favor by physically disciplining me. The conversation ended with my boyfriend saying, if I couldn't handle someone caring enough to help me improve, then maybe I wasn't ready for a mature relationship. He turned his behavior into evidence that I was the problem. I spent the next few days thinking about how my boyfriend had gradually trained me to expect physical correction for normal behaviors. I'd started second-guessing everything I did around him, worried about triggering another hand slap or object removal. I realized my boyfriend had been conditioning me to monitor my own behavior constantly to avoid his physical interventions. I was living in a state of low-level anxiety about whether my eating, drinking, or habits would result in being physically corrected. When I told him I needed space to think about our relationship, he showed up at my apartment unannounced and tried to physically prevent me from closing the door on him. He said I was making a huge mistake by pushing away someone who actually cared about improving me. That's when I knew this wasn't about bad communication or different love languages. He genuinely believed he had the right to physically control my behavior and saw nothing wrong with treating me like a misbehaving child who needed constant correction. I broke up with my boyfriend over text because I didn't feel safe having the conversation in person after he'd tried to physically stop me from closing my own door. He responded with paragraphs about how I was throwing away someone who loved me enough to be honest about my flaws. He kept texting, saying I'd never find anyone else willing to put up with my annoying habits and that I'd regret leaving someone who cared enough to help me be better. Every message confirmed I'd made the right decision.